I believe that it's a gift to be able to see very clearly in a world that does everything that it can to sell you the illusions of the world. It's a gift that not everyone has, but anyone can receive it, but only if they want to. So don't let anyone who still chooses to live in that illusion to tell you that your own personal evolution journey is wrong. They have no idea what your life is like. And the concept of becoming a conscious creator is that you're turning away from the victim mindset where everything is always outside of your control to actually come into becoming in control, to actively create your own experience. You can become a chemist or even an alchemist, the type of person who uses all experiences, whether it's good or bad, to transform and create even more for themselves. I'm going to give you one example of how the system is failing all of us. Can you imagine if schools actually help children develop their own unique potential by identifying the things that they're good at early on in their lives and growing their skills and talents around their strengths for about 10 to 14 years of their life, instead of just letting everyone follow and become judged by the same curriculum, the same routine, the same system, and then leaving everyone confused after 10 to 14 years on what they're supposed to be doing in their lives. When I was in college, I came across so many people who were just confused. What am I going to do after I graduate? What am I even doing right now? What kind of degree should I get? This is a very common experience because we are not one size fits all. We're all built differently, so it's like saying that everyone needs to follow the same diet even though some people have allergies and other people have their own dietary needs. It's so important for your own personal growth to understand that the system works against all of us actually, so that only a few people can benefit from this, and those few people are probably not us. So once you realize that, you can break free of that whole thing and work to grow your own life. So how do we do that? Before I start, hi, I'm May, and I'm all about leveling you up physically, spiritually, mentally, so that we can all become conscious creators and get out of the victim mindset that the world constantly tries to trap us in. At any point at all, if you find my video helpful, you can like my video, subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos from me, and that is that. Throughout the video, I'm going to be using Astra to demonstrate my ideas. For those who don't know what Astra is, it's a life advice app personalized to you by using your natal signs. That means it takes whatever general advice that's out there, no matter what you have in mind, and tailors it specifically for you because it knows your general behavioral patterns based on your rising sun and moon signs. You can ask it anything, find out relationship compatibility. Astra can even help interpret your dreams and also chart your astrocartography, which will basically show you which places in the world you're going to be experiencing less resistance in the things that you want to do. If you want to try it out, you can get Astra at the link in my video description. First of all, let's talk about our programming. All humans have unique programming. That's why we're so unique. That programming is basically the sum of our life experiences, our childhood, our wins, our setbacks, everything that we witness in our life. Our programming sets up our belief system, and the chain reaction starts like this in very logical progression. Whatever we believe determines our attitudes, affects our feelings and emotions, directs the way that we behave, and then ultimately determines whether we succeed or fail. And it's that simple. Programming creates beliefs. Beliefs create attitudes. Attitudes create feelings. Feelings determine our action. Action create results, and that's how your brain works. If you want to manage yourself in a better way and actually change results, you can do so anytime you want, literally anytime. But you always start with the first step, which is to take charge of your active programming of your mind. Because if you're thinking, I need to do this and have this in order to live my best life. For example, I need to be beautiful in order to attract everything. I need to wait 2 more months before I start to feel better about myself. Maybe I'll wait till next year to start. Honey, those words are actively programming your mind. There are extra steps that you need to do. There are extra conditions that you're setting up for yourself. It's a setup. Also, time doesn't stop for anyone. So whether you think those things or not, time will still move on with or without you. And if you stop yourself from growing, then more than likely time will move on without you. Your life is never on pause. It is never delayed. Your life is always still happening no matter what. Even if you feel like everything is at a standstill because something happened to you. So then the real question is, are you fully awake to it? And are you paying attention? Even if what you're experiencing right now is completely different from your idea of what it should look like. Let me tell you something. There are no ideal scenarios. There's only the present time right now that is unfolding before you with every inhale, exhale. The more you convince yourself that you need something in order to start something else, the less you will end up doing anything. You're going to get stuck because you're overestimating the amount of work that's needed, and also at the same time, you are underestimating your ability to do the work. It actually becomes impossible to lose if you make it your responsibility to fix it. If you're saying that you're stuck and confused, then you are. You are creating a reality by the second and by every word that you say and by every thought that you think. If you shift that thinking into, I am on purpose and everything is unfolding perfectly as they should be, then the universe will match that. You need confidence to try new things, but trying new things is actually what builds that confidence. I know it sounds scary, but it's not scary because you're not capable. You are absolutely capable. Being nervous or anxious is part of the process and reveals to you actually what you're afraid of. It's not a byproduct of your fears. It actually is a guiding light. It shows you and reveals to you things. And once you overcome that fear, you will get that confidence on the other side. You can get that feeling that you can do even more. So give yourself some space for grace and kindness as you grow, and you will be able to see it. So if you don't want to live a miserable life, then sit down and ask yourself, why am I comfortable with doing all the existing habits that I have that if I keep doing this will lead me to keep on living a miserable life? That version of yourself that you keep dreaming about that's really far away from you, they are actually waiting for you on the other side closer than you think. Imagine where you could be in a couple of months if you took charge of your life today and choose to create and not be created. Even with one step at a time. Stop overthinking it, stop dreaming it, and start doing, because you deserve to see the extent of what's possible in your life. We also operate by patterns, so I think that when you're offended by something, for example, and you want to react to what happened to you need to learn that you're not broken, that's not a wrong thing. You are just living out a pattern that at some point in your life, it met your needs in the best way that you knew how to. That was how you coped with it. It kept you safe and it kept you connected. And it's not easy work, but patterns can absolutely be shifted to better suit your current needs. That means the old patterns that you have, it doesn't work for you anymore. You need to change something. So your reactions to the world is actually all about you. Yes, it is all about you. Even when other people are being loud, even when other people are being annoying, even when traffic is loud, even when the train is late, your response to things is shaped by your own unique lived experience, things that happened to you in the past, the state of your nervous system, as well as your needs. Like if you're late for work, for example, time just seems to move slower. And it's also shaped by our stories, the things that you believe that are true, like the train should have been here 5 minutes ago, you're late now, your own value system, your trauma, your deepest fears. But whatever you think won't physically make the train go any faster. It's all about how we see our lives. So instead of always reacting first to things that you can't control, start to respond to it. That means getting to know these parts of yourself. Ask yourself, why did I find that so annoying? Why am I on the verge of throwing up because the train is not on time because I'm late for work? So it's in the same way that other people's behavior is also not your fault, and that it's not really about them. It's your responses to the world are about you. So if you want to break this pattern of constant tug of war and continue emotional turmoil and being affected by everything so much, that you have to start with learning how to check in with yourself, which is why it's important to just take a step back to just look at how your own personal history is impacting your views about the world today, to see where you're still not healed yet, to see maybe where there's still some grief that you're holding on to that's lingering, or that deep down is being projected into your reality onto other people, onto other events. So then you can actually keep track of the things, and then the people that are really giving you good energy, you get to hold them even closer to you. And as for the ones that are now working against you, that is where you need to set some energetic or literal boundaries. They need to go. To be able to step outside of your body a little bit to see how the stories that you're telling yourself about who you are and how the world is impacting you, so that you can actually see it when you're feeling more reactive than usual. So then actually you can take some time and pause to see your own deeper needs that are not being met, the parts of you that still hurt, still grieving, as well as the places in our head, in our minds that need more rest and more care. And also to be more aware of the times when you're feeling calm, more generous, and happier than usual, to be able to feel and notice recognize that and really recognize how is that making you feel? How does it contribute to you so that you can bring it up in your life even more when you're ready? And then maybe eventually the more you do this, you can bring it up on command whenever you want to. You can re-evoke that feeling of happiness and joy and peace. For so many people, we've been taught to disconnect from our bodies and our intuitions from a very young age. And so some of us do struggle a lot with this type of self-reflection. As a result, our self-awareness becomes limited. But it's never too late for you to come back to yourself. You can start right now to start tuning in again to your own body so you can begin making the choices consciously to help you feel more regulated, help you feel more connected and motivated and alive. So the way that the process works is that you start identifying and seeing what gives you energy, how your past is showing up in your present life, and then open yourself up to seeing blind spots and then learning to set boundaries around the things that are most important to you. You should give yourself more opportunities for reflection that can actually support you in creating new patterns focused on coming back to yourself. The more ownership you can take over your own feelings, your responses, your behavior, the more beautiful your life is going to be because you become mentally strong, you become more in control, you become the one who creates. This is resilience, this is grit. Being willing to sit with uncomfortable situations and working through it and surviving through it and thriving through it. This is how you learn to trust yourself more, and this is how you have the confidence to step into the life that you've always been imagining and dreaming of. One thing you can do with Astra is to put this in practice. You can literally pick up the app right now and just feed it things like, I'm finding out what gives me energy, what fuels me, what drains me, and what takes away energy. So based on what I'm telling you, how do I spot new opportunities and stay away from things that aren't good for me? And I find that Astra is really great for mirroring yourself and creating new beliefs and programming that sometimes within those back and forth conversations that you have with Astra, you can then begin to reveal that maybe you've been trapped in certain patterns or how certain setbacks you had earlier in your life is now affecting you later on. And then you can uncover more things about yourself that way. Remember what I said with Astra, you can ask it whatever you want and it gives you advice, not just for anyone in general, but for you specifically. You can ask it something like, how do I take more ownership over my behavior, my thoughts, and my feelings? How do I take more ownership? And it will tell me, because I'm naturally empathetic and caring, but sometimes that can also lead to people pleasing and losing touch with my own desires. With the current moon in Pisces, I'm also highly sensitive and in tune to the emotions of others, which can make it harder to distinguish my own feelings from other people's. And in order to take more ownership over my behaviors, my thoughts and feelings, Astra would suggest practicing self-reflection during the quiet moments of the day, like when I'm sipping that tea that I love, for example. I actually trained it to remember that I like tea a lot. It wants me to meditate on prompts like, what am I truly feeling right now? Or what do I want in the situation? So trying to tune into your inner voice and trust your intuition and your gut while you do that. And it will always follow up with you with another question to keep it going. How do you think you can start making more space for self-reflection in your daily life? So then I said, maybe through walking meditations. Walking meditations can be a really great way to connect with your inner self while still staying active. And then for me, as a Taurus rising, I'm naturally a very grounded person and I'm always connected to the earth and to nature. So being in nature can really help me feel even more centered. And it's true. I really find this to be true. And with my Cancer sun, I also need to be by the ocean all the time, by a body of water. The moon in Pisces, I might also find that my intuition is stronger when I'm in a very natural and peaceful environment. So trying to pay attention to your breath when you do this, when you go for your walking meditations and the sensations in your body to see if anything comes up for you, any kind of feelings come up for you, any kind of insights that come to you. And when you're doing this walking meditation, you can also consider setting an intention before the walk, like I intend to tune into my own desires, or I intend to let go of people pleasing. Those are really good suggestions, by the way. An intention is an active way to change the narrative of your life. And every action starts with a thought. If you can think it, then you can dream it and you can dare to dream it. And then eventually you'll find yourself being able to do what you thought to do. It always starts with your thoughts. And to really be able to step out of the victim mentality and into creator mode means letting all blame go. And this is the hardest part because the ego loves to place blame on anything. The ego loves pointing our fingers to other people away from ourselves. I actually believe that we have a soul contract with every single person that we meet in our lifetime. Nothing happens by coincidence. ways. Some people come into our lives to bring us positive experiences. Some of them are going to hurt us and they're going to bring us negative experiences. Some of them are curses, others are blessings. But ultimately, both experiences will serve as lessons to us in our lifetime. Whether that lesson is don't trust people like them, they will hurt you, or you should have treated them better and they left you, so don't take the next person who's like that for granted. Because if we blame anything else outside of ourselves for the way that we feel, that blame is rooted in shame. It's reactive, it's not nuanced, it makes things very black and white, and it dehumanizes us and it disconnects us as people, as humanity. Most of all, blame does not help you grow, but taking responsibility does. It empowers you and it helps you become more present to your situation, and it helps you get more curious about your behaviors, your feelings, your reactions, your thoughts, and your patterns. You cannot move on from being stuck in life if you're not willing to show up and be present to what's actually right in front of you, and to look at how you might be contributing to the ongoing pattern as well. Because if you don't see it objectively, it will subconsciously keep repeating itself over and over again until you one day realize it and you break that pattern. Some people will spend their entire lives in these cycles of never ending, constantly meeting the same types of people over and over again and never break that cycle. There are very real reasons why you get stuck in these patterns, and while they are valid, to move out of this pattern, you need to face that old feeling so that it can move. It needs you to rewire and relearn a new way of relating to yourself and your feelings and the story that you tell yourself about who you are and who you're allowing yourself to become. On your own journey of becoming your dream person, you need to revisit and rewrite your story many times. You're a constant work in progress. You have to keep learning new patterns, new ways of thinking, and it's like a baby. Everything in the beginning is difficult, right? You have to learn everything. You might fumble a bit at first, and it's not always easy, but it's always needed. You have to learn how to help younger versions of yourself. The old versions who did their best but don't really know as much as you do now, you need to guide them to also mature alongside you and nurture it with what they were missing before. The compassion and love that you have for yourself right now, to help those parts of your old selves grow past the limiting beliefs that you internalized so long ago. This will in turn help you find your future self. Your duty in your lifetime is to understand your life lessons, gain that life experience, learn to love with an open heart and to forgive, and unlearn what mass society is teaching you, and then find the answer within yourself instead. Then everything will start slowly to make sense, and then you will find the truth. I always think about that astronaut who went to space, and I can't remember his name right now, but if you know, please comment. And he said something along the lines of how it shattered his illusions about the wonders of the universe when he went to space, because space is just cold and empty and vast and dead, and everything that's amazing was back down on Earth. If you find yourself thinking, I can't live like this anymore, this sucks, this just means that you need to change the way that you live your life. Something is not adding up. Something is not aligning. It's not ever the end. It's never the end. So don't live like that anymore. Change your thoughts, change your focus, your behavior. And if you do want to dive into the unknown, then give yourself the chance to do that while you're still here on Earth. Our amazing, beautiful planet. You get to do anything you want here and really rediscover a new life for yourself. Rediscover what it means to really be alive. You must train your own mind, because if you're not training it every day and every night, then someone else will train your mind for you. Whether that's your social circle, your friends, your relationships, your mom, your dad, mass media, social media like TikTok and Instagram, or that random dude on the street, or the mean lady that you met somewhere, or your boss, or the annoying coworker, your judgmental grandma. Anyone else and anything else aside from you will get into your head and control you if you don't take a leadership role over your own mind. You wouldn't willingly let a robber into your house to come in and steal all your stuff. So the same reason goes that you shouldn't be letting any outside influence that's bad for you into your mental. If you can learn to protect and empower your mind, then your heart and your physical body and your energy will follow your mind too, and you will have more control over your life that way. You can't ever escape the lows of life. More things will always happen to you, whether it's good or bad, unfortunately, whether we like it or not. But what makes you a conscious creator is how you handle the lows. And if you think that there's something wrong with being sad or down or angry, sometimes that's just not the right way to look at it. Because there will always be more lows in life. It's not right or wrong. And then there's the highs, right? Which is amazing. It's all about how you deal with it that matters. It's all about your attitude. Sometimes the universe will give you exactly what you want just to see if you can handle it. There is no truth in reality other than what your subconscious mind accepts as the truth. You can't skip chapters in your life. That's not how life works. You have to read every line of the book, meet every character. You won't enjoy all of it. I mean, some chapters will make you cry for weeks and some are just downright awful. I actually just got out of the hospital and I was there for a week. It felt like time froze for me, even though I know it was still moving with or without me, but it also showed me a lot of things. It taught me patience. It taught me tolerance. It showed me that our health is truly the most important thing, and it really humbled me. To be witnessing in person what the emergency room at a New York City hospital looked like was such a humbling experience. It was so hectic. Even though I had a serious health complication myself and I had to have emergency surgery, there was still constantly people rolling in every hour who were in life or death situations. They were screaming in pain, and I saw it for myself. I have so much respect for ER workers, paramedics, because they are there for the people who at that point of their lives truly need them the most. On one hand, yes, it was horrible, but on the other hand, I learned so much in such little time. Like multiple life lessons in 1 week. That's crazy. These stories that we share will keep our world revolving. So live your life, not just to the fullest, but in full. Don't skip any chapters. They're all here to teach us something. There's an Arabic proverb that says, sunshine all the time makes a desert. These simple words are so profound and so thought-provoking. Storms make roots deepen. Rain brings growth. If you want flowers, don't be surprised if it starts to rain. If you want to know how to tackle your own lows, you can get more specific with Astra as well and tell it what exactly you're going through in your life. I asked on the app, how do I stay more humble and handle the lows in my life? Astra responds that as I am a Cancer sun, I'm naturally empathetic and caring, but it can be very tough for me to navigate these ups and downs while staying grounded. This is constantly something that I have to work on. With the moon in Pisces, I'm highly sensitive to the emotions of people around me, which can also make it very hard to distinguish between my own feelings and other people's feelings, which is true because I could literally feel the pain of the people in the ER that day. And in order to draw my control back, I have to actively reframe my mind and see it for what it is for me, which is that the universe wanted me to witness the ER that day so that I can be humbled by it. Sometimes you really do need to step outside of your body for a second and look at things from a different lens. And right now with the moon in Leo, it's a really great time to focus on your self-care and self-love. It actually remembered how we were talking about cultivating more self-love and acceptance from before, so this is a very perfect opportunity to practice that. Take some time to reflect on what makes you feel good about yourself and celebrate those qualities. Then it asked me, have I been making time for small acts of self-care, like making tea for myself, which is something I tend to do a lot. I think that self-soothing is so important, even in the midst of our hustle and grind culture. Too much of that is never a good thing. And I think that the universe gave me a forced rest for a reason so that I can sit back and observe a little bit more and create more space to tune in. Reality is a mirror, so stop looking around and start becoming. A person who does their best to emit kindness and positivity and actively does the work to improve themselves, they will always be on the right path, the winning path, because our reality is a mirror that reflects our inner world and how we truly feel about ourselves. But then on the other hand, people who give off hatred and nastiness, they are trapped. They are prisoners of their own self-hatred. So even if it's directed at you, it's never your problem, but it's always a they problem. It's their problem to have. I hope that someday they will realize that that's a very sad way to live and it's a very sad existence, but it's not our job to tell them that or to heal them because they're just simply not our people. They're not you. They're on their own path of self-discovery, so it's not up to me to decide for them or to manage the way that they live their life. It's like, oh, you think I'm such and such? Okay, great. Like, have a nice life. Goodbye. That's it. I really don't care what they think. Like, whenever I comb through my YouTube comments, the 0.01% of negativity I get, I realize are actually just energy vampires. These are the people who try to put you in your place, people who call you things in your face or even behind your back. They're not evil. I know it's so easy to say that they're evil, right? But they're not. They're simply very limited in their self-awareness and their consciousness. They're not capable of understanding because the way that they perceive you and talk about you is always going to be the way that they treat themselves, the way that they perceive themselves. They are straight up energy vampires. Life is a mirror, and that will always be the dead giveaway. When you understand that every opinion is actually a vision full of personal history and personal experience, you're going to begin to understand that every judgment that's made is a confession. We don't see everything as it is. We see everything as we are. It's not so much that we believe in what we see, but that we see what we want to believe. We only see what we want to see. We only hear what we want to hear. So if we see something or hear something that doesn't align with what we think, we're going to ignore it. Our belief system is just like a mirror that only shows us what we want to believe. That's the blessing and the curse of being awake. So the more awake and conscious that you are, the more that you see. Remember, your perception of the world is a reflection of your own state of self-awareness, not anyone else's. It's just yours. You're not separate from it, and there's no objective world out there. Everyone's living in their own world. If anything, this makes the world a walking paradox, and there's a whole ball of nuances. It's supposed to be messy like that, but it's also supposed to be so awe-inspiring because we have so many different opinions. Like, how are we walking around with our version of the world in our heads? Every single moment, your consciousness creates the world that you live in. Everyone is in different stages of their consciousness, so some may be slower, some may be faster, but that's it. We're all growing and evolving in different ways. This is how I get the understanding of why some people are like this, why other people are like that, why person A is so woke and so enlightened, and maybe person B is not so much. We are just looking at different points in our lives because of the lessons that we learn or not learn from it. There is a certain stage that you will reach eventually where your only intent is to only speak your truth, but not to convince other people the truth. You just want to speak your truth. And that is when you begin to realize that everyone has their own path. And in other words, what we see in the world is actually the protection of our own level of consciousness. That's why everyone has a different viewpoint on how they see life and how they perceive life. And I want to leave you with this beautiful quote from Rumi, who's one of my favorite poets. He believes that we're all on our own journey into oneness. And he said, "Yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world, but today I am wise, so I'm changing myself." And that's what we're all here for. I didn't used to understand why I had to change myself before I changed the world. It just seems so insignificant, right? But then imagine if everyone practiced more self-awareness and changed themselves. But then you're actually going to be like, wait, that's actually such a tiny step that we can all do to make the world a better place. Literally, it will change the world if all of us change ourselves into becoming a little bit better, learn our lessons a little bit more. And literally, it's so simple. Imagine that. So I hope that you're on your way to finding your power. Thank you to Astra for sponsoring this video. And let me know in the comments your experiences and what you like. I'd love to hear it. And I will see you in the next video.